of the show, right? It's Sidewalk Chats. Try to introduce new guests every time.
I like it.
So today we got of course a regular. We got Mike Giassi. We got
Edward Reyes.
We got the co-host Eddie Reyes. We got Don Fischetti. This is your first time, right? First time. So we'll get to you, but here we got the man of the hour. We got the man of the year, Hispanic man of the year. At one point, right?
At one point.
What else?
Hispanic Man of the Year.
What else? Your credentials, your reputation precedes you. So what else?
Retired.
Retired now, but back then, what did you do?
I did Hispanic affairs for the county. I did community affairs, specializing in the Spanish-speaking community.
So the bottom line is that you were Hispanic Man of the Year. Was it once or more than once?
Just one time.
Just
at
one
the end
time?
of my
Okay.
career. It came right at the end. At the end, it was the closing. I was like,
Yeah.
This is perfect. Perfect script.
I actually remember walking in the county. They had your a sign up and they said congratulations. I was like, oh look at that, I know him. It's like I know celebrities.
Nah, not a celebrity at all. Just like you guys, a regular guy.
All right. Well, the point is that we got Tony Morajon joining us today, and I've known Tony for a long time. I want to say, I don't know how long now. 25?
Probably.
Maybe longer.
Been a while.
I want to say maybe even before I became a lawyer. It's about 25 years ago. So, okay, Tony. So tell us, what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm retired, and by retirement, I'm retired from county government. I'm still involved in different issues, different community issues.
Right.
I happen to be an advocate of the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Okay, all right. There you go.
I don't hide that. I have my views.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And then, but now before you retired, what was it that you were doing again?
Well, I was doing community affairs.
Okay.
And what that meant was, I was really more of a facilitator. If you had an issue and you came to me because you couldn't get through the government layers, you guys are all educated gentlemen. Government is not an easy thing.
No.
Especially for the normal, regular, average person that lives out in the community. They may have issues, and if they have language barriers or cultural barriers, it makes it even harder.
Yeah.
And I was able to maneuver and get people through the system.
Okay.
You did a lot of stuff for diversity. I remember.
Yeah, I did diversity stuff as well. And it's not a cheating thing or a special attention. It was no. People who do not speak English fluently pay taxes fluently.
Yeah.
So if you're a property owner, you're somebody who works in the economy, it's your service.
And then, all right. So for the county, how long were you with the county?
35 and a half years. Well, I was actually 33 and a half years.
Wow.
2 years before that, I was with the state.
Okay.
It's
And
all
then-
government service.
All right. And as far as your West Tampa connections, tell me again. Tell me your roots.
Well, I was born in New York City. My mom and dad were Cuban immigrants. I remember going with them to the post office with my dad when I was a kid
Here,
in New York City,
Okay.
like many children of immigrants. And my dad said, "Come here, help me with this."
How are you?
Hey, good. How are you? How are you? You
Are
guys
we
ready?
missing a menu or something? Let's do what we have here.
That's right.
Help me figure this out. And I said, "Dad, why are you doing this?" He goes, "We have to tell we're aliens." And I look at my dad. "What do you mean
Aliens, like
It's
seriously.
like
We're
the
not
Simpsons.
from
What can I
here."
get you to drink?
No.
Diet Coke.
Iced tea, unsweet.
Water.
You already got it?
Yeah, I was going to throw an order in so that
Okay.
you guys can keep talking.
Okay.
And he would say, "We're not from here. Your mom and I are from Cuba. We live in this country, but we're not citizens here." And I was like, as a kid, you're thinking, I'm 9 years old, thinking, okay.
Yeah.
But he says, we have to tell the government where we live. And I remember him doing it.
So
Later
you were
on,
born in Cuba, or?
I was born in New York, Manhattan.
Okay, gotcha.
Grew up a little bit in the Bronx. I lived about 7 blocks from Yankee Stadium.
Okay.
I used to walk to Yankee Stadium with my cousin and watch baseball games for 75 cents or $1 to sit in the bleachers.
Look at that.
That's crazy.
Wow, look at that.
Wow.
Before we go on more about your history, though, I love it that you're Cuban descent, Eddie's Cuban
I'm Cuban
descent,
descent, yeah.
Mikey Cuban, Colombiano, and Italian, and then you're is it Italian?
Italian and Irish.
Italian and Irish. So we got a little bit of everything here. Man. That's the beauty of this country, and honestly, this community here in Tampa. It's got this.
Yeah.
All right, so then New York, and then you came down to Florida when?
1970.
1970.
Mom and Dad moved down to Tampa. We bought a house near Lato High School.
Oh, later. I went to later.
Yep.
We went to
that's where
later.
we lived on
Yeah.
Jean Street for about a year
Look at that.
Okay.
and grew up there.
All right. Hesperdes and Jean, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
between Hesperdes and Manhattan, right there in Jean, and then we moved to Hiawatha, which is closer to Lato. I could actually hear the first bell and run to school.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I lived Hesperdes and North Street. That was my street,
wow.
and I used to walk to school and. it was
Walk right by
crazy.
my grandfather's house all the time, I'm sure.
Interesting.
My grandfather had a house right there
See,
on Hesperdes and Hiawatha, around the corner. You always used to be planting stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you
Had a
ready?
garden.
I think we're ready. Yeah. Let's start.
Yeah, ready.
Hold on, let me look at the table.
Hey, how you doing?
Nora's training today.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Brian,
Good to see you.
Okay.
go ahead.
I'm gonna do the Mediterranean bowl.
You're next one. As far as
To order to get it.
Yeah. I'd like to try the salmon salad. Or is the burger better? 'Cause I don't know.
burger's great.
Burger's good? Let's go with the burger instead.
Okay, no problem.
Easy sway when it comes to burgers.
Burger, how you like it cooked?
Medium?
Medium with fries,
What's up?
provolone cheese with American cheese.
Provolone cheese sounds good. Yeah.
Provolone, fries and salad.
Fries. Is it seasoned fries?
No, we put rosemary into this.
It's pretty good. All right, let's do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
He's too laid back. Is he in the camera? Okay. Go ahead.
I'll go souvlaki platter with chicken.
Black platter with
See, now our viewers can see what we eat. There you
You're gonna
go.
have to behave. You're gonna watch
I
it.
know.
What the hell are you eating?
For real.
I think this is ceviche.
You know, Brian, if we ever get on their Wi-Fi, we can be streaming live also on Facebook. I have to do it. So like maybe another time.
Yeah, no, we'll play it. Yeah.
And it still records it.
Great, though. I didn't realize you were officially retired, man.
Chicken fontina.
Thank you.
chicken fontina with fries or salad.
Sneak a couple fries in there.
Yeah, we tried to get it this morning. It was a long story. And then when he said, "Are you guys going to continue?" He goes, "Well, then let's just have everyone here." Okay. Not that I get it.
I understand that.
Good show, brother.
Thank you, man.
So, Tony, are you ever gonna coming out of retirement anytime soon, or 'cause I know you're always doing something? So, are you gonna run for anything?
People want me to run. People come to me all the time. We need you. We need this and that. Let's see what the census brings.
Yeah, yeah.
2020 census is coming up, and it's vital to all communities, especially the Hispanic community. Let's see what that does as far as the district and the county. This has gotten too big for the 7 that it has. I'm a proponent of them expanding that board and chopping up some of those districts into smaller portions. Right now it's outrageous. Commissioner Boone, they have all these constituents. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, speaking of politics, we had an election last night. Did you know, I don't know, did you support one or the other? Or?
Well, I think Jane Cass is a great person. I voted for her.
Okay. Did you go out there and campaign for her at all?
I didn't campaign much. Anybody who asked me, and believe me, a lot of people call me and ask me, or ask my mom, or
Yeah.
gets around. I support it. I didn't do any open outside doing stuff for anybody. I always asked. I believe me, most of the candidates that ran, I sat down and talked with and asked them questions.
That's good.
My main focus was sorry about that. My main focus was West Tampa. I said, so what's your plan for West Tampa? Tell me. And some candidates spilled it out. So this is what I plan to do. I plan to do. Others said, well, they started shifting to East Tampa. I go, no, stop.
Yeah.
I want to hear about East Tampa. East Tampa has the CDC, they have grants, they have money. What is going to happen in West Tampa? That's what I want. When are you going to pave those streets? I feel like I'm driving in a third world country when I go down. I started complaining about Himes, and I think it was just perfect timing. It wasn't because I said it. As soon as I did it, they paved it.
Well, I
was like,
remember you.
that.
I
That's
said
good.
it on Facebook as well. I was picking up my son Nicholas at Jesuit,
Horrible.
going down Himes. I feel like you're right. I feel like it was
Yeah,
in
the
Costa
bouncing.
Rica,
Yeah,
on
bouncing.
the
Yeah,
dirt
yeah,
roads, and it was like,
And that should be one of the prettiest streets in Tampa. It leads to the stadium,
Yeah.
and everybody who comes from out of town drives that.
That's true.
And like, oh my God, this is a dump. You come to these streets and your fenders fall off.
right.
So I'm happy about that. I want to
That's
see
how
them
West
do
Tampa's
more.
growing fast, and the infrastructure's still not there. But the
These
housing
places
is
have no
growing.
sidewalks. They have, some of these places have ditches in front of their houses. Come on,
So I do have two more questions. And
2019.
then I want to talk to Mr. Don Fischetti over here. Number one, as far as you mentioned, you teased the politics. So if you were to run, what would you run for?
Probably county commission, because that's what I know. That's where
not city
that's where I
council.
grew up. City council, you have a strong mayor. County commission, there's representatives, and they represent their districts, and it's more of what I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but
Yeah.
my interest is really in something that I know, and I know county government, and I know which buttons to push. I know who to listen to. I can hear board meetings. I can see the smoke.
Yeah. That's
I
cool.
can see the mirrors, so that would be something I'd be interested in. I wouldn't run as a Hispanic candidate. Oh, we need a Hispanic candidate. No. I want you to vote for me because I'm the most qualified.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the way I see it.
You
I
said
hear that all
35
the
years
time.
of government service,
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's a long time.
A very long time. Yeah. So the other question is, what is your best part, your favorite part of Tampa? What's your
My favorite part, it is growing.
Yeah.
Downtown used to be a ghost town, and now you come down here on the weekends and you see it. You have Armature Works, you have Ybor. It's everything. It's a micro example, microcosm of the United States. We have everything. Hillsborough County has everything. It has agriculture. It has different communities. You find it all here. Everything. That's what I
Downtown,
like.
you're right. Downtown, Chandler side is going by itself, and then you got the other side of
Beautiful.
It's downtown.
It's coming together.
It's coming
What I
together.
don't
It's
want
nice.
to do is have West Tampa forgotten.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Don't forget us.
for what it's worth, Ybor is probably one of my favorite parts of Tampa.
I love Ybor.
I just love Ybor, man, just because it's like going back in time.
The history is incredible. They're doing a lot of stuff there.
When you listen to like EJ Salsinas, when you hear EJ talk about his old days in Ybor City, and you go back and you see that it's pretty much the same. Not much has changed in terms of how he described. He'll say, well, what used to be over there was this. The building's still there, just that business is no
It's
longer
different,
there.
yeah.
But everything's still there, the houses for the most part.
That's
So
cool.
that's probably my favorite part.
And I'll tell you the sad thing. If you grew up in Tampa, I did in 1970. This has changed, and so they knocked down a lot of the old buildings. They should have somehow restored some of that architecture.
Yeah.
It's gone forever.
Right.
You know,
That's true. That's true.
it would have been a whole different place.
Have you met Don Fischetti before? Or
I met
no?
him today.
Today.
Interested to hear him.
Not that we're done with you, though.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Feel free to chime in.
So we got my nickname for Dan Fischetti is Don Fischetti. Because he's Italian,
Don,
Italian
yeah,
last
Don.
name, so you got to pay your respects to Don Fischetti.
All right.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in New York. I only lived there for 4 years, though, Long Island.
Everyone lives in Florida, came from New York.
Exactly.
In New Jersey.
Jersey,
Yeah.
right?
Jersey, I was
The
born in
Bronx.
Jersey.
Long Island.
Long Island.
Nassau County.
We're all New York.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
We're all northern.
All Yankees.
So my father went to school in Florida. He went to Stetson undergrad.
Okay.
Played baseball with them. So
nice.
when we were younger, we moved to the land, and that's where I lived and grew up. And it's a very small town community.
Yeah.
15,000 people. Everybody knows everybody. When you're a lot of supervision from others in the community that are not your parents, because if you're going to do something wrong, you're going to get a phone call. And, so I really enjoyed growing up there. You had the freedom to, ride your bike wherever you want, skateboard wherever you want. Your parents didn't have to worry. You leave the house at 7, 8 in the morning, you're back at, nighttime. So that was
Pretty much how it was, I'm sure. When I was growing up, it was like that. In the 70s.
But I have a 7 and a 5-year-old. I couldn't imagine today
Now I
letting
don't
my
feel like
son
let's
go
go
out on a
outside.
bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And doing
right.
something like that. And I don't know if it's just the way the culture's changed, or maybe it's just more prevalent and we're more scared about it now. So that's what's going on with that. And then I moved to Tampa, Tulane for a year. Graduated from UF after that, and then went to law school at Stetson in St. Pete.
Well, what brought Dad to Florida to begin with?
He got a baseball scholarship.
Oh, nice.
Was he from New York as well?
Yeah, he grew up in. They were born in Brooklyn, but moved to Long Island very early. Like the whole mass in the early 1950s of Levittown and the whole subdivisions going up, and that's when they moved to Long Island.
So Mom was from New York as well? or-
Yeah. They met up there and got married up there, and had. I'm one of 4 boys.
Okay.
So my poor mother.
Yeah.
Right.
God bless her a little bit.
Did your dad continue with his baseball career or no?
No, he played, graduated, didn't make it to the next level. Had some interesting. His roommate became Stetson's baseball coach, and for 35 years, won thousands of games. And then one of the other teammates is actually Larry Jones, who's Chipper Jones' dad. So there's been a lot of support from people like that for the program throughout the years. So,
That's cool.
And what made you go to law school? What was that all about?
I don't know. I just always. I don't think I ever pictured anything different.
Really?
I'm lucky in that I always wanted to be a lawyer, maybe because I was interested in politics early on, and a lot of politicians are lawyers, a lot of leaders are lawyers, and I just thought it would be an interesting profession. I didn't know what I wanted to do,
Right.
but I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer.
It's funny because we interviewed Brian Scriven, and that's what his motivation for law school was. He wanted to go into politics, but he was it Gainesville or Tallahassee? I think it was.
I can't remember where Brian's from.
Yeah, but that was his motivation. He went to law school and he ended up not being into politics and became a great lawyer, a successful lawyer. So,
Yeah, I think I saw
so if you were to run for office, or first of all, is the desire still there? And second, if it was, what would you do?
You know, I got a political science degree, and I was so super interested in that stuff when I was a kid. You know, I say a kid, 18, 19, 20 years old. I think, you know, at 41 now, I don't think the desire is there just to open yourself up to scrutiny for every little thing that you might do. And that's a tough thing, and I think that discourages a lot of people. I saw, you know, the mayor of South Bend, I would butcher his last name, you know, who's running for president, you know. And you know, I saw a story the other day that all the other Democratic candidates are doing all this opposition research on him because everybody else is a known person and he's a little bit less known.
I
You
saw
know,
the same thing, Dave.
so you know, so it
gets really dirty. Yeah.
you
the
know, so
politics,
so
yeah.
that's, and I'm not saying I have all these skeleton closet or whatever, please, I wouldn't say that, but you know, it's just something that you could have said, even going as far back as when you talk about being a kid in college, who knows what I wrote in a paper or took a position or advocated one way, something that might have been different from the person that you are with maturity and the you know, change and experience that you have today. So, but if I did do something like that, I like Tony would probably like to do something more local. You know, even though I think the biggest influencers right now are probably those who are in the House, you know, State House. You know, I think they have probably the biggest power to affect day in and day out a lot of things that happen, because I don't think as many people pay attention to what's going on in Tallahassee until it's actually a law. You know, and I think especially when it deals with, like Mike, I'm sure you would know, like with some of the insurance companies and property rights and everything like that, and making it harder to litigate against a corporation as a citizen. You know, those are things we tend not to pay attention to because they don't make the front page of the paper. Where, hey Jay, how you doing, man? Where, you know, the front page of the paper is going to be the House today passed a bill saying no more texting, because that affects people in their immediate lives as opposed to not being able to, you know, fight for property rights or something else that goes on. So.
Did you ever think about politics, Mikey? Or no?
No, you know, I like Danny, you know, for me, you know, I enjoy all of this without having, you know, somebody say, hey, you know, why aren't you doing X because you're on taxpayer time, and I get that, I understand that, but you know, I remember being a young prosecutor and there being stories where, you know, reporters would code the halls on Fridays and just they would see what judges weren't working. I remember before I started the state, you know, there being stories of you know, different judges being followed, you know, during the day to see what they were kind of doing with their time, and you know, and I understand the accountability. I think it's unfair sometimes because there are, you know, sometimes where judges are there till 10, 11 at night on a trial, and you don't see that. Everybody's at home, and then you see them on a Friday, you know, maybe taking a longer lunch, and there's scrutiny there. So
That's true.
that, for me, I've always thought, you know, I don't want to invite that. So I've never thought about doing it. I mean, I think, you know, that kudos to everybody that does, and I think there's phenomenal politicians that we have here, and they do a lot of great things, but it's just never been something that I've had an earnest desire to do.
Now, do you remember that when the I don't know if you guys were here or not, when the news would follow the judges
they
playing
would.
golf.
That's a hassle.
Some judges were you know, Judge Graybill was one of the few judges. If you remember, I think since passed away. He was the only judge smoking cigarettes on his lunch break, not going playing golf. So, and then he would have jury service or jury selection trial, so 9, 10 o'clock at night. So the camera tried to compare, or the news tried to compare someone like Judge Graybill versus some of the other judges where they're petty or whatever, and
We
pretty bad time.
We actually had a property appraiser that was caught up in that. They were following one of the judges, and they noticed that this property appraiser and his top management would leave during work hours, and they used to go to this bar called the Land and Surf, or used to be here downtown. and they would go in and they filmed them at 3 o'clock,
Really?
all drinking
Wow.
cocktails and
But you know what,
having a
every-
blast,
but-
and that guy lost his re-election because of that.
But you know, nobody's perfect. I mean, we live life, and everybody lives life, and the people probably recording are drinking too.
Oh, yeah, that's
You know,
true,
what I mean,
too.
it's everybody wants to have this white picket fence idea, and life is not like that. I mean,
Well, I think the other thing, though, but as an elected official, I think, especially somebody like you, Tony, would agree. I think you have to be a little bit of the people, and I think there's nothing wrong with getting out there and,
Yeah.
and meeting people and being approachable and saying, hey, what else are you going to approach on? One of the things that I see, unfortunately, with a lot of judges, and I think judges get a lot of unfair scrutiny for whatever reason. I think people like to take down a judge maybe because they're the ones that are always
the man. Of course.
judging others.
Yeah,
And-
you're going to judge me, so
you
now
know,
I'm going to judge you.
So I think
Yeah.
a lot of them become very insular, where all they do is associate with other judges or
Yeah.
maybe the bailiffs that are in their courtroom, because unfortunately they don't have anybody else, just because of the way that the job is. So I do think that's unfortunate.
Elected officials, but yet they can't do anything political. They can't even judge a baking contest. It's
Sure.
just like,
Yeah, yeah,
They have
it's-
to be non-judgmental in anything else.
Yeah, very narrow in their focus. Yeah.
So when
I
somebody's
see.
running for judge, you can't really look at their political part. People do. They still do research if they're an R or a D. But in reality,
But and you're exactly right, and that is, and it's almost like you have to lose a piece of yourself, because that part of you that I mean, I love you, but if you ever became a judge, bro, you'd have to get off Facebook. What would you do?
Yeah.
You'd have so much time on you.
Well, yeah, there's a few on
I would
there.
find a way.
Yeah.
I would find a way somehow, but you're right. But
I think that the more comfortable they become, the more they give up. Because at first they're very strict, and then they start opening up again. I've noticed.
And like anything else, I think and I think if your memes that we all love would have to be curtailed.
go to jail.
I mean, so, and I think that's what I would. That's part of it too. I think that scrutiny is part of who you are.
Yeah.
Because things can be taken out of context. Things can be exploited by people that are running against you. So you almost just, like Danny says, you just kind of regress back, because the last thing you want is to lose a re-election because somebody said, "Oh man, look at this post they made on Facebook 2 years ago."
Oh, yeah.
And and listen, you're going to offend somebody because you can never appease 100% of the people all the time. But it's part of that's the hard part, and I think that's the that is the tough part. I think about the immediacy of everything we have. Everything now is recorded and seen. I mean, even here, this is the cool part about technology. The bad part is, it's constant, and people are always cycling through Facebook, Instagram, anything else to see what's going on. And that's the hard part.
Yeah, people are
because
looking.
People
Yeah,
are looking,
people are looking, yeah.
and people are trying to find stuff. And let's be honest, it's like Monday morning quarterbacking. You can always find fault with something, and especially if it's taken out of context. So that to me is the tough part of it.
And we're living this time of the ultra sensitivity.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Kate Smith, you heard about the dilemma up in up north?
I've heard
Kate
that one.
Smith was a singer who sang "God
Right.
Bless America" at
Correct.
the Yankee games and blah blah blah. Now they're covering her statue. They're gonna get rid of the statue because back in 1931 she sang a song that people today would say were racist. Back in the day,
What song?
Well,
what's
it's
that?
living for that time.
darkies something about. There's a reason for darkies. But now we're gonna go back. The lady who did all kinds of things in this country, and they're gonna remove it.
That's
The hard part is, okay, where do you judge that?
yeah.
If you're the offended party, yeah, you see it as horrible. And if you weren't the offended party, but now they come up with stuff like, soon
Look, people are so weak now, man. Like
They
seriously,
go
like
back.
there's
can't correct the past. That
Yeah,
happened.
exactly. It happened
It was
already
wrong
past.
back then.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the PG-13 movies now, man. You watch a PG-13 movie from like the
Wow, that's a
80s,
big difference.
and it's like, man alive, I
Well,
can't believe they got away with it.
Yeah.
The
one that stands out is
things change.
I'm sorry, Airplane. The movie Airplane.
Yeah.
The two African Americans were speaking jive. You could never, I think, get away with anything like that nowadays. And not just that. I mean, they were making fun of nuns. I think Catholic nuns and that. People
Yeah.
with, I think it was.
Pedophiles, they did everything on this.
Right. I mean, so and there's some movies that nowadays I'm like, how did they get away with it back then? And they, or now. I mean, they barely got away with it back then, so certainly not now. You know, times change, and I get that people are more sensitive. I think people are more educated too, as well. Though I think that people are starting to recognize it may not be offensive to me, but if it's offensive to Eddie
course.
Reyes, then you got to respect Eddie Reyes. You know?
But some people overstep too, like the whole Me Too movement. I think that's a little bit,
That's a tough one too.
that's a
man.
tough one too because like it's affecting one person. Like, oh, I overheard this person, now I'm offended. I'm like,
Right.
well, it's not directed to you. So there's a lot of factors, and it depends on the situation. I think.
Yeah.
And it depends how they judge it. Me too,
Yeah.
because this person's this way, but then somebody else does it from the other side.
And it's okay. Yeah.
Where's the Me Too at?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of issues there.
You know?
But let me ask Danny real quick. So as far as going back now, as far as young lawyers, do you have any advice, or people want to be lawyers? Do you have any advice? And I don't know if we asked you this, Mikey, the last time you were interviewed, but do you have any advice to anyone who's thinking about contemplating being a lawyer? Yes, no, and if so, what type of law?
Well, I would say just with any career, get out there and see people in action. You know, if you can intern, if you can, just even sit and experience other people that are passionate about what they do and that are good at what they do, I think it might spark something in you that leads you in the direction. So even though I wanted to, be a lawyer, I didn't know what type of law I wanted. Even throughout law school, and then through internships, I got to sit with Judge Barbas, Judge Fleischer,
great Judge
Judge
Barbas.
Elvin Martinez, people like that, and then just even to sit in the courtroom, I said, okay, this is what I need to do and where I want to be. So
He ever tell you how he got into law?
no,
I interviewed him on TV while I was in the background asking him questions. And he said that he was a law student. He went to Loyola.
he was in New Orleans, yeah.
And he wanted to be he wanted to be a reporter to cover all the Supreme Court cases.
Really?
That's what his interest was in law. He become an attorney and a lawyer so he can do that. But his professor goes, I want you to come with me to this case. And they sat through a murder case. He goes, that's it. Look, I want to be a lawyer. Wow. That was an amazing story. Great guy.
Yeah, very, very, very interesting person. He's got a lot of different talents.
Great
whether it's
guy.
Art, drawing.
Yeah. That's
I
what
know
we did.
he was big into motorcycles before he had an accident for a
Yeah,
while.
the Renaissance
I
man.
didn't give that up, So that and the ponytail, I think,
That's
I
fine.
don't know if he's still
He's a great guy.
You talking about Judge
I love
Barbas?
Judge.
Yeah.
I intro Judge Barbas.
Yeah.
Great guy. Like,
Yeah.
in fact, whenever I have extra time, I go there and we just talk for about nothing.
Sure.
And he gives me tips and advice, and he's like, good person. Him and his wife and everybody else. And so,
As far as
and
Tony,
his brother too,
Yeah, I don't know his brother.
Yeah, he's also an attorney.
Deborah
Hey,
Bell,
Deborah, how are you? Amy, how you doing? What's going on?
Amy Ward, how you doing?
Are you the Pope? Are you the Godfather? I'm not sure.
The Pope and the Godfather all rolled in one right here. You know Deborah Bell?
Not yet.
So,
Hi, nice to meet you.
You are?
Amy Ward, nice to meet you.
Hey, Edward Reyes, nice to meet you.
Nice to
I'm
meet
sorry,
you.
I assume you know Dan Fischetti, right? My curiosity.
Ladies,
how are y'all doing? You're great.
Thank you. I'm on the divorce diet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Divorce time.
Okay.
You lose a lot of weight.
He's toxic and I want him in the trash can.
hey, Amy, real quick question. Those Easter pictures that you had on Facebook, what subdivision was that?
That is my mom moved to a retirement community over
Valencia
in 201.
Lakes? Is that it? I knew. I
I
thought
live
I
out there,
recognized
yeah.
it. So okay. Yeah, my in-laws live there.
Yeah, she just moved there in December.
It's a
They
great
sold
place.
Yeah, they sold their house and moved there. They wanted to do all the social things.
Uh-huh.
They have lots of friends.
That was the biggest thing that drew them there. They got the clubhouse, they got the paddle ball, the bocce courts, they got like the track and everything
Yeah,
like
they
that.
have all
We are.
kinds of-
We're
they
filming
do-
a show.
They joined clubs.
Yeah, you're actually on the show.
They have, oh, yay!
She's like, yay.
The
camera's right there. That's-
Oh, I wondered that. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
street?
yeah, yeah.
You know what street they live?
She lives off of Grand Banks.
You can be the next guest.
Yeah, so it's like you go in and then you have to go straight and make a right down. I can't remember the name of the street, but then you keep going all the way. She's like almost the last subdivision, Grand Banks on the right
Okay,
before you
cool.
get out to Walmart.
Yeah.
'Cause they have like a Walmart access in
On the backside, right?
That's
Okay.
where she lives on that side.
No, that whole area is just blowing up right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a drive to go visit.
Hey.
But I go visit.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
love
Joe.
my stepdad. They're good people.
I live out there with you.
Oh, you do?
Right,
I
we're
live
filming
I live
another-
in Thornton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a nice area.
It is a nice area.
Yeah? Why?
Yes, now I have lots of free time on my hands.
I know, no playoffs for you, right?
Yeah, but I'm like, hey, my wallet and my liver are very appreciative.
Exactly.
All right.
No, those tickets are not cheap for the playoffs, right?
Okay.
Had we made it to the finals, my seat per
All right.
With the season ticket member discount, $335 a day.
For one.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you had to prepay all that stuff, or they go ahead?
No, because I've got tickets and I automatically renew, and so they've got all my payment information. I get billed
At the beginning.
No,
yeah.
at the end of each round for however many games we
Hey,
play.
Joe, how
Okay.
are you, man?
That's
So
good.
I laughed though. They're showing a film at the Tampa Theater tonight on the Russian Five from back when Detroit first played the all Russian line. They're gonna have Scotty Bowman for a question and answer session.
Okay.
And a friend of mine and I debated going, but I'm like, because Coach Ross one posted about it, we're like, I wonder if he'll be there since he's got some free time. Can I hand him a bill for those first 2 tickets? Seems like he should pay me for having to sit through that.
Let's see how court goes at work.
Yeah, right?
All right.
All right, guys.
Well, hey, I always like hide out a good
I do. I hide it. I hide it when nobody's looking.
Oh, that's what you do. Now we know why you're happy and after he's like,
Yeah.
They know me too well. That's why I don't run for judge.
well, you know, we keep hearing that rumor.
I know. No.
Not
Yes.
judge.
No, not judge.
judge.
Yeah, not
State
judge.
attorney.
State
right?
attorney.
There's a rumor going on. I'm gonna run for state attorney.
Really?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, I would, but I'm not. I promise you. No way.
You could get some support.
Yeah, well,
There you
I
go.
heard that. We'll cut that out.
Yeah.
Let me just keep my mouth shut.
But Amy, but
Still get my paycheck there.
next time we'll get you guys on the show. We're doing a show. Next time we'll get you on. Okay? All right.
But you know, Deborah is awesome because since she's had the season tickets, she's always been able to pre up with really good concert tickets.
There you go.
And I don't have to do like the crazy lines or calling in. She always, boom, you want tickets? She said faxes in the form.
Wow, nice.
They're awesome. Yeah, that is the upside. Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
And
You
you
look
know
great.
there's
You look
good
great.
hockey.
Keep up the good work.
Thank
All
you.
right, ladies.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.
So let me ask you, Tony, real quick.
Yes.
As far as Latinos, young Latinos, what advice do you have to the young Cubans, the young Puerto Ricans, the
Study as
Mexicans?
hard as you can.
Right?
I did a speech last year for Hispanic, and they go, "What do you regret in life?" I go, "I didn't study hard enough."
Okay.
I said I could have been a great lawyer, and saved a lot of people in court.
Yeah.
I could have been a great doctor and saved people who were sick. But I didn't study hard enough.
Thank you.
Right there.
Now, was it a product of your environment or
I
just a
grew up. I was the
generation?
first generation in my family to go to college, and I really had
And
no
the chicken
idea.
from Tina, I'm gonna get you some
One
ketchup
day
if you
my
need
uncle
it.
came to the
Ketchup,
event.
ketchup?
I'm good. Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll be right back.
He goes, "What are you gonna do when you graduate high school?"
Yes,
I don't
thank
know.
you so much.
You don't know. And the sad thing is nobody told me during school, so it wasn't my junior year. Because go see your guidance counselor. He goes, "Tell her you won't be a dentist." And this is a true story. I walked in there and she looked at
Dentists
my
make money
hands.
though, man. That's not. All right.
She goes, "Are you kidding me? You can't be two things in life, a dentist or a gynecologist." That was a true story. She goes, "My husband's a dentist. You could never be a dentist." All right, what do I do? She goes, "Go into air conditioning." And I swear I did for a while.
Oh, really? I didn't know
I
that.
started.
Yeah.
And I should have stayed. I'd probably be rich by now. But I don't
So,
know.
do you think they should have trade schools, more trade schools at the local education
Big time.
level?
Big time.
Because
Not everybody's going to go to college. Not everybody's going to get a degree. You know, it's like,
And I think it's an unrealistic expectation for people who maybe just think differently. I'm not
Right.
saying they're any less
And there's nothing wrong
intelligent
with
than
that.
somebody. It's just what your interests are and what you want to do. And you know, like you were saying, that you know, if you're a welder, I know many welders that are union jobs and they're just making a killing once they get that.
pull a
training.
plumber to your house and tell me.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Or an air conditioning guy.
No, a lot of trade work.
Electrician guy to do some electrical work for you.
It is.
Trade weight, there's nothing wrong with that at
Yeah.
all. The opposite.
You know, Tony and I, we pretty much, there's a group of us, we chat almost every single day. We chat.
we
The
do.
Liars Club, Danny Alvarez. We got to get Danny on the show. Tony, Anthony Gonzalez. Every morning there's always somebody, you know. And of the group, you know, we're pretty conservative, but they'll tell you I'm probably one of the more liberal-minded on the group.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm a big Bernie Sanders fan and all that. They razz me every day. They razz me every day on that. But I'm a big advocate on, like you just said, more educational opportunities. Because not everyone's going to go to college.
No.
But trade schools, you know, things like that, and maybe to some level, maybe to college. Because I think that society benefits from education, man. We all benefit, man. Who knows? It may reduce crime, it may reduce poverty.
Well, I think if you keep people interested, they'll be less
Yeah.
likely or
Right.
less susceptible to drop out. Or even if you're a guy who's 16 years old and you do like an apprenticeship
Yeah.
with somebody, and you know after you learn, and you're telling this person, okay, not only can you get out of school for half the day, you know, and do this apprenticeship, but actually you get to take home some of that money too. I think that would have a cascading effect that would be very beneficial. The problem is you would have to almost do two little tiers and have to say, okay, we're doing this all wrong. We need to be more like maybe China or Japan or another like educational system that says, okay, I'm gonna give you a test at 10 or 12. And based on how you test, we're going to put you on this track, or based on that track, or based on what your interests are, you go to this track or that track. The problem is the parents are going to get their feelings hurt and say, no, I want Johnny or I want Susie to be in this track. Okay, well, you can be on that, let's say, college path. Let you work hard with them. You get the extra tutor, you get the extra studying, and then when they're 13, if they want to show that interest and that progression, we'll let them back into that other track. But for now, hey, we're going towards the tradesman thing, but do it in a way where you're not looking down on them, saying just intelligence-wise. But listen, all right, we're going to utilize. Some people should go to college. Some people, it's not the right track for them.
Well, but that's difficult too because like you change your mind at that age, you change your mind quite a bit too. So if you're going down one track and you don't get to discover other things, so there's issues there too.
Hey, good to see you.
How you doing, too? Eddie Reyes, Judge Espinoza. Because I mean, I can tell you for a fact. I mean, I changed careers even later in life. I changed careers when I was 31.
Right.
You know, I went to college at 31. I owned a doctor's office for 13 years.
Yeah.
And
Take care, Judge.
and before that, but before that, I mean, I probably changed my mind tons of times. So I mean, so there's the pluses and minuses. Because sometimes people are not exposed to a lot of things because they don't go to that general education.
Sure.
And if you put them on one track, they're not exposed to maybe they like something else. Literally, like I decided to be a lawyer from a conversation with my wife. We have driving home one day. She's like, he's like, hey, I want you to law school. I said, you know what's a good idea? That was literally how I did it, and I signed up the next
Good for you.
right away, and you know, well, I had to do my social, my bachelor's, and my law degree. So it's and it just changed at 31 for me.
Right.
So
You did it all how many years? 31?
well, I did 7 years straight, like a jail sentence.
Yeah.
Now, if Elizabeth Warren wins and she forgets school debt, I'm gonna go to law school.
Yeah, I saw
Said
that.
that?
If Elizabeth Warren wins, I don't have to pay for college. I'm gonna go to law school.
I guess the issue. I guess the thing that I want to say is, we need to make some tough choices at some point because there are a lot of people, and I see it every day in the courthouse. You know, Brian, Mike, we see guys who are kids who are honestly in the juvenile system. If you represent people that are charged with crimes at 13, 14 years old, and you look at them, you're like, unless something really drastic it changes in their life, they don't have a shot. I mean, and they're going to be going to prison at 18, 19, and then we all know how that's going to turn out when they get out at 28, 29. There's the rare situation where somebody could apply themselves when they're in there and turn it around. Unfortunately, most people are just going to go back into doing the same thing. So, you know.
The best advice is go to school.
All right. Get your education.
I think for the most part, you know, Spanish is my first language, yours, and yours, right? I mean, we had to learn to overcome that. You know, it wasn't easy, but you know, we overcame it, and then we were relatively successful. You know.
And I think it's more of a cultural thing now. And I don't mean culture as far as ethnicity. It's this millennial thing. People talk about it, and I see it. I see people who don't want to. They don't want to crawl. They want to be born and start running marathons. That's not the way it is. And they want it instant.
Well,
all this technology has taught us to be instantaneous, and it doesn't work that way. You didn't get to where you went because it was an instant thing. You're right.
Forever, man.
Well, because we live in a Twitter world now. Everybody wants something yesterday. A lot of people don't like working for it.
You know, and I said this before in one of our first episodes, man. The drive that we have, and it's not necessarily drive to be millionaires, you know, it's a drive to just be able to enjoy that weekend with our family. The drive to make sure our kids are in the best schools that we didn't have to go to. And I know Mikey went to Jesuit, but the story behind that's an incredible story. How he was able to get a Jesuit, and how he got to Stetson. This guy busted his ass, man. I mean, here he is, son of immigrants, busted his ass and got a scholarship at Stetson, right? I mean, that's huge, man.
It is very big.
But he earned it, you know.
Yeah, Mike put that time in. Yeah.
But you know, all of us have worked hard, and I think at the end of the day, you know, you know, the thing I see for all of us and anyone that's successful is that drive that we all have, and it has to me, and as a parent now, I see it, that it's hard to teach. You know, it is. Yeah, you can instill it, but it's hard to teach that drive, and all you can do is try to instill in your kids the same principles, because, you know, it's what happens. You know, you want to make their life easier than what your life was. You know.
Do you see it? Do you see it? Your kids are going, wow, they understand.
Right. Well, and you do, and then there are times where, you know, you realize they have things very easy, and you don't want them to ever be lazy, and you don't want them to ever be complacent or think that, you know, they're owed something by the world, which is, you know, I think a lot of the issues with some of the generation now is, hey, the world owes me this. The world doesn't owe you anything, man. You got to go and take it. You got to go and fight for it. You got to go and work for it. And I think that's the hard part is, you know, if that's not there, then, you know, because if you have drive, you're going to be successful, whatever it is, because you're going to want to learn, you're going to want to be great at it, you're going to want to, you know, stay on top of it. I mean, you know, I know we all talk about it. You know, we were all very fortunate. We all bust our tails to be that way. You know, but that's the thing. You know, at the end of the day, it's like what you're talking about, Tony. It's not going to be. You gotta work hard for it, man, and you gotta know what you want. You gotta go after it. And listen, for what we all do, it is every day. It's a hustle, and if you're not hustling every day, you will lose. You will lose at getting clients. You will lose at your kid, everything.
I mean, that's not to exclude Fischetti. I mean, we're not taking anything away. I'm sure you worked hard, but I guarantee you, your grandparents, right, from either Ireland or Italy, I'm sure they had to do the exact same thing to make sure that their kids, your parents, and their grandchildren, you, didn't have to work as hard as they did. So it doesn't take away from what, you know. And I'm not saying,
I think that, you know, my grandmother on my father's side, you know, she was born in Ireland and came over, and my great-grandparents were Italian immigrants, and it's a generational thing where people were not wanted, you know, Irish, Italian, dealing with the same things a lot of immigrants are dealing with today and in the previous generation. So I think one thing I can say is I think that instilled in my ancestors and in your parents the value of what education is, because they wanted, and the value of work, because they wanted to work as hard as they could to provide for their families, and no matter what, and no matter where people stand on immigration. You know, some of my clients that I represent that are, especially from Mexican communities, Guatemalan communities, those are some of the hardest workers.
Oh, yeah?
They will do whatever it takes to make sure that it happens for their family. And I feel sadness sometimes in seeing people who are born here with the proverbial, golden spoon. I'm not even talking about people with means. I'm talking about just people who are living here and they don't recognize how good they have it, and they see, sometimes the government is not something to assist them, but almost as something to get over on. How much can I exploit the government for in order to not have to do as much on my end, so that's sad to me sometimes, and again, that's some, doesn't mean if you're getting government assistance that you're not out there working 2 jobs and you're doing all that stuff too.
Good or what?
Just sometimes it is a gain for certain people that I do see, and it's, it's sad to see sometimes.
Well, Brian, this is like the owner of this restaurant here.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say.
He's one that came from another country and now he owns almost a block.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean,
He's from Lebanon, and we did. I don't know if you saw the show. He was on our first show. Have you met Joe, the owner of this guy? The guy who was just here with the baby.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever met him before, but he was from Lebanon. Came in here. I think he started like up Minneapolis or something like that, somewhere up north where it was cold. Didn't like it. Then came to Florida, and then had the remember the Panino Taco? We've been here before.
Yeah.
And then he closed it down for like 3 or 4 months, which is a risky move.
Yeah.
And now you're right. I think he owns I don't know if he owns it, but at least leasing the entire block.
Yeah.
He's expanding the restaurant, This is a good place to come on a Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah,
Tony,
take it right for it.
Sunday nights, it's 2-for-1 sangria. So I don't know if you like sangria or not. Yeah? You like sangria?
Me encanta. I like sangria.
You know, we need to do a show in Spanish, by the way. So
One day.
we're thinking of calling it, what did you say, chisme? What was it?
Chisme con...
Chisme en la cerca.
Acerca, sí.
Chisme en la cerca.
That'd be funny.
Gossip on the sidewalk.
I mean,
En la acera.
La acera.
Acera, ahí va, ahí va.
Danny's,
Entiendo un poco.
Oh, sí.
yeah, he's pretty good.
¿A dónde aprendió él?
Sí, aquí no, that's
¿Qué dice?
about
¿A dónde?
I study Spanish a lot in school.
Okay.
It just goes away though.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't use it. You know,
Right,
it
right,
goes away. So, but I always appreciate Latin culture,
Yeah.
and like to me that was always something that
Oh, yeah.
was always great.
17, okay?
Yes, thank you.
You said something funny there. You know where the word Latin American comes from, right?
I guess I
Where, from Central America? I don't know. From where?
This.
French. It was Napoleon Bonaparte wanted to conquer the whole world, so he wanted to convince the people on this hemisphere that they were related to him
Wow.
because we speak the Latin language. It all the same. French, Spanish, Portuguese are all the same. You know, derived from the Latin language. So he told people they were Latinos, they were Latin Americans.
Ah, okay.
About that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know
There
that.
you go.
And
Look at it.
the more you know. Listen, before we close off, I want to say, or sign off, I want to say thank you for this.
You're welcome.
You didn't have to do that, but thank you. What's
hope you enjoy it.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. We'll do it together.
Yeah.
Take a shot out of it.
We'll do it off camera.
Off camera.
No, not today. I'm just
Not
joking.
today.
I got to go to court. Well, thank you, Tony, for joining us, man. So we got
Right,
to
thank you, man.
do it again.
Good to meet you.
You know who I'd like to have here is Adrian Colina.
Andrew, she'd be fantastic.
You know, I went to high school with Adrian. I don't know if you, Adriana.
No, I don't
she
think I-
should be running for mayor one day, man.
One day.
She
She's
was your
she's still
counterpart,
young.
right? She was your counterpart.
She did a lot in the city. She's a fantastic person. She's over at Solid Waste for the city.
Yeah.
She used to do the Spanish show, Que Pasa Tampa. She was
Right.
successful. She's a great asset to the city of Tampa, to the people.
She and I went to high school together, and I always thought that you and her would have made a great team for Tampa. You know, like a mayorship, you know, co-mayorship. But she's a great girl.
We gotta
yeah,
bring her on.
if you see, you'll recognize her.
Yeah.
She's good people. She was the Woman of the Year, this Hispanic woman.
right.
I was very lucky, very fortunate. We're very good friends for her to be the female, you know,
Yeah.
Hispanic Woman of the Year.
All right.
She's an exciting person. She's got a bright future. She's young.
Oh, yeah, no,
She's
she's-
like me. I'm a viejo. She's young. She's
You're in a weddle too, right?
you better believe it. Two beautiful granddaughters.
Awesome.
All right, well, salute to everyone. Salute.
Salud.
Danny, thank you for joining us as
You want
well.
to drink it?
Yeah.
He took my Diet Coke.
All right, salute, man.
Is that-
I'm good.